Hello everyone, Julia Sheehan here, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Today I'd just like to make a little card out of this beautiful stamp set, Good Morning Magnolia. It's a double stamp set and it is beautiful. These fonts alone are just gorgeous down here, and this Magnolia is amazing. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another variation. I did do this on Facebook the other night. This was the first card I did, and it's just flat on the card, and I thought it would be really good as, you know, like a nice gift card or even a sympathy card. And I just popped the little Magnolia inside in the Blackberry Bliss, which is what the cardstock is. Then I decided I would do this one, which is up on dimensionals, so it just gave it a little bit of dimension there, and that was really nice. But today I want to do another variation on it and actually put some colour to it. So the things you're going to need are a piece of Blackberry Bliss 5 7/8 of an inch by 8 1/4 inches, and that's folded and burnished. You will need a piece of foil, silver foil, and that is 5 6/8 of an inch by 4 inches. And what I've done with mine, I've actually stuck it on because I did start this video earlier and I messed it up big time, so I started again. So it is stuck on, but what I do is I cut the center out with the rectangle stitch framelits, and I use this for other cards. I just don't see the point in having this beautiful piece of silver foil, which, you know, you only get a couple in the pack, and covering up so much of it. So I take it out and I use it for other projects. So just a tip, if you want to save on your silver foil, do that. Anyway, the next thing I need is a piece of Blackberry Bliss this size, 5 5/8 of an inch by 3 7/8 of an inch, which is going to go on there, and an extra piece to do our Magnolia on. So I'm just going to do the Magnolia, get the embossing buddy out. Particularly with these dark cardstocks, I think it's like you can see the powder on these cards, even if you rub over it with the embossing buddy. So when you're done and you've done your embossing and it's all done, I think it's a good idea to just wipe it gently with a nice soft cloth. That just takes any of that extra powder off and doesn't give it that white look. Now I'm just using my VersaMark ink, and I've already mounted my Magnolia, so I'm just making sure I ink that up really well. This is the easiest way to do a big stamp. Okay, and then I'm just going to place that where I can get the whole thing onto the sheet, where I can see it, hopefully. Okay, and then just press that down. Just give it a minute to make sure it transfers well. And hopefully we'll get a nice fresh image there. Yes, that's good. Okay, I think you can see that. Okay, I'm just going to use my silver embossing powder, and this one just comes up so beautifully with this. And if you see anywhere you think just needs a little extra, just pop it over it. There we go. I'll just leave that there for the moment. Now, I'm sorry about the noise. Just giving it a little bit of heat underneath as well so it doesn't warp so much. I just love it when it starts to turn. Look at that. It's such a beautiful image too. I'll just keep that a little bit underneath just to straighten it up. Now I don't know if you can see, but somehow here, this is a mistake I've made, I didn't see it, just there is a little bit of white, a bit of silver embossing happening that shouldn't have been there, and I didn't see it and didn't brush it off. Even the embossing buddy didn't stop that happening. But when I cut this out, most of that should disappear, so you shouldn't really notice it. But mistakes happen and little things happen like that. But they're handmade cards, so, you know, you've got to expect these things. Wait, I'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to cut this out. Okay, there it is. And as you can see, you can barely notice that now, so that's not going to be a problem. Now, for the front of my card, I'm just going to sit this where I think I'd like it, and I think there is nice. So I'm just going to get my stamp now and ink that up. Again, I'm going to emboss it, and it says thinking of you. Give that a good VersaMark up, and I'm going to put it about there and hoping that I've got this pretty straight. It's hard to tell because I've got a camera in the way, so fingers crossed for me that it comes out nicely. And I know what I didn't do. I didn't do this, so I will do it again. Flip it over. That was a silly mistake. Clearly it's my day to make silly mistakes. We'll try again. Now, just make sure I've got my... Right. I do hope that's straight. Guess we'll find out. Okay, that's pretty good. So that was better. I should have used the embossing buddy. I completely forgot. But luckily there's two sides to this cardstock. And there we go. Okay, this one will be quick. Done, next to no time. It's beautiful font, that one. Okay, so got my flower, got everything I need now. Now the next step is to colour my flower in. Just wiping that on a piece of cloth to get the embossing buddy off it. And see, there you go, when you wipe it down it all disappears. Alright, so I'm going to add that to my card. Now because I turned this over, sometimes you get that tiny upturned edge. If you just use your bone folder and run it along there, it smooths the edge down so you don't get that cutting edge glaringly looking at you. I'm sure you've all found that if you turn it over that's what happens, but it's easy enough to get rid of. Now I'm going to glue that down over my foil. And like I say, why waste that foil when you don't even see it? Okay, and I'm going to pop that on there. Lovely. Okay. Now what I used to colour this Magnolia, firstly, was my garden green watercolour pencil. And I've just coloured over the Blackberry Bliss, and it actually works quite well. I'm not going to add water to it, I'm just using the pencil. So you could in fact use any coloured pencil. This is just what I've used, and as you can see there, the colour comes up nicely. When the whole thing is done, it looks really nice. And I'm not going to do the whole thing here because it'll just take too much time and you'll get sick of watching. But you get the general idea. So you could use any coloured pencil that you wanted. And then for the actual Magnolia, I thought about how could I get it to be white. And then I thought about my Stampin' Chalk marker. And so I used that. And it works really, really well. So you give it a light first coat. Which means you can get a bit of dark and shade in your whites anyway. And you just fill in all those little bits. And it doesn't actually take very long. I mean, some of you might look at that and think, oh, that's awfully fiddly. It's really not. And then you just put your white on a little bit darker in spots and heavier, however you want. And I did that for the whole flower. And then when I got to the center area here, and I wanted a little bit of like the lighter yellow in there, I grabbed my Saffron Stampin' blend and I just lightly used it in the center. Now it's just a matter of keeping going with your chalk marker, and it stays on beautifully. This, it's not like it comes off or anything, it's there, it stays there. And you just go over it until you like it, the white that you want it. And you can actually put a nice little bit of Wink Stella on if you want to, or anything like that. And it just makes it whiter. And so anyway, I'm going to just swap it over to the one I've already done, just to save a bit of time, because I don't want you to have to watch the whole thing. And there's the one that I've already completed. And this is in here where I just added this Saffron just lightly to the center. You could go out further if you wanted to, but I've only done it in like the real center area. But I think it looks beautiful. It came up really well. And I think if you're going to use a dark cardstock, you could use a Night of Navy or what else? Probably Rich Raspberry, any of those, as well as this. And yeah, it just comes up beautifully. And now look at that on the front of the card. So I'm going to put that one up on dimensionals. And I actually did sort of try out a few sentiments on dimensionals. Put them up, put them on backgrounds, all sorts of things, and I didn't like it. I think it takes the elegant look away from the card. I mean, it's entirely up to you whether you want to do that, but that was just how it struck me. I just don't think it needed it, and so I just left it alone. And yes, I am putting a lot of dimensionals on, but I do like my things to be nice and solid, as you can tell. And yeah, I think it detracts from the Magnolia too if you have it up as well. It just didn't look right. And I tried all sorts of combinations. I did like the silver in the background and, you know, layers, all sorts of things. But I think just on the card it looks so much nicer. Nearly got them all. Okay. So now, whoa, no. Nothing like a few sound effects. And I'm just going to place that on there like that. And gently press that down. Now I didn't put the inside in my card, so I'll just quickly do that. Yep. And I used the small Magnolia for this. I'm just going to pop it on the back of that stamp. And I used Blackberry Bliss for it on the card. And I'm just going to stamp that in the corner like that. And then that's going into my card. And I think that's all it really needs. It just needs to be simple and elegant. It's just a matter of matching your cards to the people you give them to. I think that's really important. I never put a sentiment in a card until I know who I'm giving it to. Okay, and that looks nice. That looks so nice just in there by itself. Okay, so there's my card, and they're the 3 stages of my card. So flat on the card, on dimensionals, and then coloured on dimensionals. And I actually like all 3 of them. So I'd love to know if you feel the same way or which one you prefer. If this is the first time you've seen my channel, I'd love you to subscribe. And if you press the bell as well, you'll know when I'm going to do another demonstration. I do one once a week. And yeah, I'd really love you to join me when I'm doing my cards. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.